I never thought I'd be the kind of person to walk into a room and feel like the entire world shifted beneath my feet. But that's exactly what happened the day I stumbled upon the truth, about the people I loved most, about the secrets they kept, and about the tangled mess of feelings hidden behind their smiles. It all started with a casual text, the kind I usually ignored. But this one was different, a glimpse of something I wasn't supposed to see. A message between two people I trusted, filled with words that cut sharper than any blade, confessions, plans, and a betrayal that I could hardly believe. I remember sitting on my couch, phone trembling in my hand, heart pounding like a drumbeat in my chest. How could they do this? After everything, the late-night talks, the shared dreams, the promises that felt so real, were they all lies, or just parts of a story I wasn't allowed to hear? The days that followed were a blur of whispered conversations and stolen glances. I tried to act normal, to pretend the cracks in our friendship weren't growing wider by the hour. But every time I looked at them, the weight of their hidden actions pressed down like a storm cloud ready to burst. One evening, I found myself sitting alone in that little cafe where we used to meet, the place where laughter once came easy. The rain outside mirrored the turmoil inside me, each drop a reminder of the tears I was holding back. And then, they walked in, both of them, unaware I was there, unaware that I knew. I watched as their eyes met, a flicker of something unspoken passing between them. I wanted to scream, to demand answers, but the words caught in my throat. The silence between us was heavier than any shout, filled with the echoes of what they had done behind my back. The confrontation was inevitable. When I finally stood up, my voice cracked with the weight of betrayal. Questions spilled out like a flood. Why, how, when? Their faces shifted through guilt, regret, and denial, but nothing could undo the damage that had been done. I saw the cracks in their stories, the half-truths and excuses that only deepened the wounds. It wasn't just about the secret meetings or stolen moments. It was about trust broken, about the fragile bonds of friendship and love unraveling before my eyes. Nights became restless, memories twisting into doubts I couldn't shake. I replayed every conversation, every gesture, searching for signs I might have missed. The laughter we shared now sounded like echoes from a distant past, drowned out by the silence of what was left unsaid. Friends who once stood by my side started to drift away, caught in the tides of their own secrets. I felt like an outsider looking in, a spectator to a drama that I never wanted to be part of but couldn't escape. Every time I tried to move forward, the shadow of their betrayal loomed large. The love triangle wasn't just a story of two people, it was a battlefield of emotions, regrets, and choices that none of us could rewind or erase. I found myself questioning everything, my own judgment, the sincerity of their words, and the future of the relationships I once held dear. Was forgiveness possible? Could trust be rebuilt on a foundation cracked so deeply? The hardest part was the silence, the unspoken truths, and the spaces where honesty once lived. It felt like we were all trapped in a web, struggling to find a way out without tearing each other apart. Sometimes, late at night, I would stare at my phone, wondering if they were thinking of me too. Were they haunted by their choices as I was? Or had they already moved on, leaving me behind in the ruins of what we once had? In the end, I realized that love triangles aren't just about jealousy or competition. They're about vulnerability, about the messy, complicated ways people connect, and sometimes hurt the ones closest to them. This story isn't finished. The pieces are still scattered, emotions still raw, and the future uncertain. But sharing this, writing it down, helps me hold on to the hope that maybe, somehow, we'll find a way to heal. For now, all I can do is breathe, step forward one day at a time, and remember that even in the darkest moments, there's a flicker of light waiting to break through. And so, the story continues, unfolding, unraveling, and waiting for the next chapter to be written. I wish I could say I saw the signs earlier, but love, when tangled, blinds you to the sharp edges beneath its surface. The way they hid their meetings, the stolen texts, the quick glances when they thought I wasn't looking, it was all a puzzle I refused to solve until it was too late. I kept telling myself it was nothing, that I was overthinking. But deep down, I knew something was off. The way my friends started canceling plans, the way my partner's phone would buzz with messages they quickly hid, those were the cracks forming in the foundation of my world. One night, curiosity and dread collided. I found myself scrolling through messages not meant for my eyes, heart pounding as truths spilled out in cold text bubbles. The words weren't kind. They revealed a secret that shattered the reality I thought I knew. I wanted to look away, to pretend it wasn't happening. But the more I read, the clearer it became. I was the last to know, the one left in the dark, while they built a secret connection behind my back. It wasn't just about betrayal. It was about feeling invisible in a story where I thought I was the main character. The pain of being replaced, even momentarily, was a sharp ache that settled deep in my chest. I confronted them both separately, trying to find answers in their hesitant eyes. The conversations were tangled, filled with half-explanations and apologies that felt like bandages on a wound that refused to heal. Their silence was deafening, the spaces between words filled with guilt and regret. I wanted to scream, to demand the truth in raw, unfiltered honesty. But instead, I sat there, feeling smaller with every passing second. I remember the night we all met to talk, the air thick with tension and unspoken accusations. The cafe felt suffocating, the rain outside a mirror to the storm raging inside me. They tried to explain, to justify, but the damage was done. Watching them avoid each other's gaze, I realized the love triangle wasn't just a secret, it was a fracture that might never fully mend. The trust we built over years was now scattered like shards of glass, sharp and dangerous. Days turned into weeks, and the silence between us grew louder. I felt like a ghost in my own life, watching from the sidelines as they navigated their tangled emotions, leaving me to piece together what was left. I tried to find solace in friends and distraction, but the memories haunted me, the stolen touches, the secret smiles, the shared moments I was never meant to see. It was a constant ache, a reminder of what I had lost. Sometimes, late at night, I'd hear their laughter in my dreams, a cruel echo of happier times. Waking up, the ache would return, sharper and more real, reminding me that some wounds don't fade with time. I thought about walking away, about leaving the tangled mess behind, but a part of me still hoped for forgiveness, for understanding, for a chance to rebuild what was broken. Love triangles are messy, complicated, and painful. They expose the vulnerabilities we try to hide, the fears we bury deep inside. And sometimes they leave us wondering if love is worth the heartbreak it brings. I'm still learning to navigate this new reality, to find my footing in a world where trust feels fragile, and every glance carries 1,000 unspoken questions. This isn't the end of my story. It's only the beginning of a journey through pain, forgiveness, and maybe, one day, healing. The hardest part is not knowing how it will all unfold. Will the ties that bind us grow stronger or snap under the weight of betrayal? Only time will tell. For now, I'm holding onto the pieces of myself that remain, trying to make sense of the chaos and find a way forward through the tangled web they wove behind my back. I never imagined love could hurt like this, but sometimes the people closest to you are the ones who cut the deepest wounds. The nights are long, filled with memories I wish I could erase, but even in the darkness, there's a flicker of hope, a chance that someday truth and healing will find their way back. Until then, I'm learning to live with the questions, the doubts, and the scars left behind by a love triangle that changed everything. I'm sharing this story not for sympathy, but because I know I'm not alone. Many of us have walked through the fire of betrayal, feeling lost and broken, but still searching for light. If you're reading this and have felt the sting of a love triangle, know that your feelings are valid and your pain is real. It's okay to hurt, to question, and to hope. This is just one chapter in a much larger story, one of resilience, growth, and the messy, beautiful complexity of human relationships. I don't have all the answers, but I'm learning that sometimes the hardest journeys lead to the most unexpected destinations. So here I am, still standing, still breathing, and still believing that love, even when it hurts, can teach us something invaluable about ourselves. The days ahead are uncertain, filled with challenges I never saw coming, but I'm ready to face them one step at a time. Because in the end, love is messy, complicated, and unpredictable, and maybe that's what makes it worth fighting for. Even if it means picking up the pieces after they've been shattered behind my back. I'm not sure what the future holds, but I do know this: I won't let the betrayal define me. I'm more than the pain, more than the secrets, more than the tangled emotions that tried to consume me. I'm still here, still fighting, still believing in the possibility of something better beyond the heartbreak. And maybe, just maybe, sharing this story is the first step toward reclaiming my voice and my story. Thank you for listening. The journey isn't over yet, and I'll be here to tell you how it unfolds. Because sometimes, the only way out of the darkness is to shine a light on the truth, no matter how painful it might be. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do, one word at a time. I don't know if forgiveness is possible. I don't know if trust can be rebuilt. But I do know that I'm tired of hiding in the shadows of their secrets. I'm ready to face the mess head-on, to confront the tangled emotions that bind us, and to find a way through the pain. Because love, even when complicated and flawed, is worth fighting for. And sometimes, the hardest battles lead to the strongest victories. So here I am, standing at the crossroads of heartbreak and hope, ready to choose the path forward. Even if that path is uncertain and fraught with challenges I never imagined. Because in the end, I owe it to myself to try, to heal, to forgive, and maybe even to love again. No matter what they did behind my back. The story of love triangles is never simple. It's a tangle of emotions, secrets, and choices that ripple through every relationship involved. And sometimes, the hardest part isn't the betrayal itself, but the silence that follows, the things left unsaid, and the walls built in its wake. I'm learning that healing doesn't happen overnight. It's messy and slow, filled with setbacks and small victories. But each day brings a little more clarity, a little more strength, and a little more hope. I'm grateful for the moments of honesty that sneak through the cracks, for the glimpses of vulnerability that remind me we're all human and flawed. And I'm learning to be gentle with myself, to accept that pain is part of the process, not the end of the story. There are days when the weight of what happened feels unbearable, when the memories threaten to consume me. But there are also days when I catch a glimpse of peace, a moment of laughter, or a spark of connection that reminds me why love is worth it. I'm still figuring out what forgiveness means for me, whether it's possible, necessary, or something I need to redefine on my own terms. For now, I'm focusing on reclaiming my voice, telling my story, and holding on to the parts of myself that remain whole. This journey isn't just about them or what they did. It's about me and how I choose to move forward. And even though the road ahead is uncertain, I'm ready to walk it, step by step. Because sometimes, the greatest strength comes from embracing vulnerability and choosing to keep going. So thank you for being here, for listening, and for sharing in this messy, complicated, and deeply human story. The story of love, betrayal, and the hope that still shines through the cracks. I don't know where this path will lead, but I'm ready to find out. And I'll keep sharing my story, one word at a time. Because sometimes, telling the truth is the first step toward healing. And for me, that step has already begun. The love triangle they created wasn't just a secret, it was a wound that changed everything. But it's also a catalyst, forcing me to look deeper, to question more, and to grow in ways I never expected. I'm still here, still learning, and still hoping that someday, this story will be one of healing and redemption. Until then, I hold onto the truth I've uncovered, the pain I've felt, and the strength I'm finding. Because no matter what they did behind my back, I am more than the sum of their secrets. And I'm ready to write the next chapter on my own terms.